get another perspective from Jimmy Jean. He is chief economist and strategist for the Desjardins Group. He was also in the lockup today reading the budget. Jimmy, what stood out to you?
Well, I think when you look at the headline number, 78, it's actually pretty close to our view, which was 75. So, and way below some of the more dramatic calls that this could be a triple-digit budget. So that was in a way reassuring.
You're talking specifically. I don't mean to interrupt, but you're talking specifically about the deficit numbers, right?
The deficit, the bottom line, excuse me. So on the deficit front, looking a little bit better. Having said that, really this was called a generational budget, and we see a lot of the same announcements that have already been made when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to defense. So not a whole lot of new information on those fronts. What I was really looking forward to is specifics on how they were going to translate that very high ambition they're having at the public level, but to also engage the private sector, because we know when it comes to productivity investment, it's not going to happen if the private sector is not on board. And part of their strategy is to looking to attract some private investment in some of the projects that they're selecting. But we were really looking for incentives, and that super deduction for productivity is part of it. Incentives to get the private sector, no matter what industry you're talking about, to really invest more in terms of R&D, in terms of innovation. And I would say the numbers that we're seeing in there are quite small. I would have hoped to see something much bolder in order to stimulate the private sector.
Well, and they'll, of course, private companies will just be digesting this now, but have you gotten an early read on how this might be received, particularly when it comes to incentives for private sector investment?
Yeah, well, it won't hurt, but let's recall that we're competing against the U.S. and the U.S. just rolled out accelerated expensing, and they made it permanent and just across the board for pretty much any type of asset. We've kind of gone in that direction, but it's still limited. It's still set to end to start sunsetting in 2030, and from 2030 to 2033. So if you're a business, it's not like in the U.S. where you can count on that policy to be there pretty much forever. Here, there's still conditions attached, and there's still a signal that at some point businesses will not be able, and some businesses are planning really for multi-years, even decades ahead. So they have to factor in that this kind of policy might not be available down the road, whereas it is in the U.S.
All right, Jimmy Jean from Desjardins, thank you so much.